Thanks for joining today. Just to review again, we do live Q&A every Tuesday. Feel free to throw your questions in the comment section. I will answer them as they come up. Any health fitness questions, try and cover as well as I can. If you're watching on the replay, you can still put your questions in. We'll cover them next week on our next live session. So I didn't have any earlier questions submitted. So I wanted to kind of start with mindset aspect as we enter into the fourth quarter. Holidays are coming up. Everyone's kind of starting to shift into that focus. It's the most common time period when people put their weight on for the year, as much as 10 to 12 pounds over pretty much between Halloween to New Year's. So a pretty short period of time. Couple factors to kind of think about and help in preventing that weight gain and setting yourself up for success just in being a good spot as you go forward into the new year. The biggest things that I try and recommend to anyone, clients or others who ask, is don't give up a lot of your exercise time during these next few months in order to make more time for other events. It's okay if you got to shift around when you do it, if it's different from your usual time in order to make it to those events, but don't just completely give it up. And there's a couple different reasons for this. First and foremost, it's a habit. One of the key aspects of habit is the time commitment. If you start giving up the time commitment element of fitting movement, exercise, and workouts into your week and your schedule, holiday season is about a 60 plus day period of time. That's enough time to reset habits to the point where now working out just isn't a habit anymore. So now we go into January. Now we've got to rebuild that habit again. That may take 2, 3, 4 months to get back to where we're at right now. So we end up losing 60 days of at least maintenance, if not progress. Oftentimes, sometimes backpedaling, and then it takes another 2 to 4 months to get back to where we're at today. So essentially, we end up spending the next 6 months losing progress and then trying to regain our progress back to where we're at October 1. So the easiest way to prevent that is just still continue doing it. So if you're doing your strength training 2-3 days a week, let's try and keep that 2 or 3 days a week. Walking movement the other days, let's try and keep those going as well. Because it's all about just maintaining the habits, and part of that is the time commitment in your schedule. So sometimes you may have to pick and choose different things that you're doing, but just don't let the time go in order to make time for those other events. Find a way to make both happen. The second component of this, after the habit forming, is we want to make sure metabolically we're in a good position, especially since with the holidays, we know we're probably not always going to be eating as great options on or as regular basis as we would the rest of the year. So the easiest way to make sure that that's more negated impact wise is that we are still regularly active. So our bodies use that fuel, we burn the calories, we build some muscle so we can keep a better metabolic output for ourselves and be more metabolically sound in getting through the holidays without that 10 to 12 pounds of weight gain that a lot of people see in a typical season. So two big factors for that with the movement. One, not getting rid of the habit. Two, setting yourself up metabolically to be able to burn whatever other things that we do eat, so it's less impactful. So if we're stopping working out and then potentially eating a little bit extra, now we're moving less and we're consuming more, which sets us up for that major weight gain. So if we can at least continue moving the same amount, still making some progress with our workouts, maybe we're moving a little faster with our cardio. Maybe we're going a little bit heavier or doing more repetitions with our strength training. So we're still progressing those workouts. So we're still challenging our body to make additional adaptations. So we're continuing to improve ourselves, continuing to metabolically challenge our body. So it's using the calories from our extra outings and holiday events to still be replenished, to help with muscle building, to keep our metabolism going, rather than it just being extra and losing that progress along the way. Um, Speaking of progress, so another common factor that frustrates people is how much physical ability progress becomes lost with inactivity. So there's a couple different aspects. There's the strength, there's the stamina. Strength, if you've been pretty consistent for a period of time, will stick around a little longer, but stamina tends to go really, really quickly. So, if all of a sudden, as November revs up and we get heavy into holiday events and things, and you go from doing your, 2 to 3 strength training days a week and some sort of movement the other days for your cardiovascular health to, closer to none for both of those, we start losing whatever progress we've gotten pretty rapidly. They've seen as much as 1 week of inactivity resulting in 4 to 6 weeks loss of stamina adaptations. So that's your cardiovascular abilities. So it can be really frustrating when you go back to getting into it and now you expect to pick up where you left off, but in reality you've regressed a couple months more with that inactivity. So now it's even a harder thing to build back up again. So save yourself the frustration, both on the scale and on the stamina aspects of things, and just keep your workouts going so you're in a better position when the new year comes and you're looking at setting new goals and new achievements for the new year. Hope that helps with everyone. If you do have more questions after, feel free to throw them in. In the meantime, have a great week and remember to stay consistent in your persistent pursuit of health. Have a great week.